Or you can just stay tuned to ABC Far North. We'll find plenty to inspire you, including this next story, the story of Som Tamang, a young man who endured unimaginable hardship in his village in Nepal, has already inspired many of you. His ability to overcome a childhood of poverty, child slavery, any of those challenges would be enough of an achievement to overcome, but it was Som's desire to make change for the next generation of Nepalese children, girls in particular, that has really captured the hearts of so many Cairns residents, including my former colleague, ABC News reporter and now author, Kirsty Nankaro. She has returned from her first trip back to the Nepalese village where Som's story began, a story she wrote about in her book, Himalayan Dreams. Kirsty, welcome back to ABC Far North, a studio that you were once very familiar with.
Yes, it's had a bit of a facelift since I was last in here, Charlie.
I'm glad you didn't have to endure that facelift. It was quite an interesting process, broadcasting live every day from a construction site. But are you starting to get used to... We're talking a year now after the launch of Himalayan Dreams. Are you starting to get used to being introduced as an author rather than a journalist?
Yes, and I quite like it. I'm extremely excited about the year that I've had with the book, and I think after this weekend I will have spoken about it 36 times. I've had 36 events since February. So
37 now.
So it's been wonderful to finally have this book out there and being read and being able to talk about it, because I finished writing it in 2022, and then this agony of not being able to share it with the world, and now it's finally published, finally out there, and I can use it for what I wanted it to, which is to raise awareness about child trafficking and child marriage, and also the power of one individual to change their own lives, but so many others as well. So it's been incredible to own that new title and to get out there and really live it.
Is that why you decided to go back to Batassi?
I think once I first visited Batassi in 2016, I was smitten, and I was always going to have a long-term relationship with this village. At that stage, I didn't know I was going to write Som's story, although I was very inspired by the impact that I saw his work having when I was there volunteering for a month in the school. So, I was done and dusted there. It was my commitment was to come back every 2 years, and I came back in 2018 to do the research for the book and reconnect with not only the girls that we sponsor, but the whole village and Som's family. But due to COVID and airfares becoming so prohibitively expensive, it's taken 6 years to get back there this time. And it was really special to take my husband Sean with me finally to this place that he's got to know vicariously through me, and he's formed all these relationships which were virtual, and now he's been able to meet all of these people, all of the characters in the book, and make his own connections and friendships. So it was incredibly beautiful to be back in the village just of itself. It's a calming place. It's a very spiritual place. And to see Som's family members again, to spend time with people that were my students in the original trip and are now young leaders. They're either trekking guides, or they're helping look after the kids in the hostel, or they're helping lead the activities of Friends of Himalayan Children. And they're very inspiring to me, and it was just beautiful having time there again.
Kirsty Nankaro recounting her recent journey to Batassi, back to Batassi, where her journey as an author began, where the seed was planted for her book, Himalayan Dreams, which was launched 1 year ago, which is hard to believe because we spoke at that time. The characters, as you describe them in your book, are real people. Som is a true story of inspiration, and is such a special story, and such a story that resonates. I mean, in Cairns, we feel a part of that story. We are a part of that story. How has the story resonated through the book beyond our city and our community?
Well, my talks have taken me to many places. I've spoken in Alice Springs, in Darwin, in Sydney, in Adelaide, and more recently, I had the real privilege of being able to do a book launch at the Australian Embassy in Nepal, in Kathmandu. I spoke at a Rotary Club, the Rotary Club of Balaju in Kathmandu, which is the partner organisation with the fundraising project that we're running in conjunction with the book through Rotary International and the Cairns Sunrise Club here. And then I also had a book launch in Singapore on my way home. So I always knew that this was a universal story. It is a very far North Queensland story, of course, as well, because had it not been for the support of this community, both when Som arrived here 21 years ago and when he started his humanitarian work, and the donations and the volunteers that continue to pour from this community, he couldn't do what he does without it. But yes, the story is resonating far and wide. I've had people reading it in the Atlas Mountains and people in England and Ireland, and I'm receiving comments from people about the impact that this book is having on them and how it's making them reflect on their own life. Because I think if one person can come from a very poor background with a very challenging start to life and no guarantee of education, and to make it all the way to do a degree at James Cook University and then to give back to his community in such a big way, it makes you really think, well, what else could I do? So that was very much where I was at when I had this experience. I thought, well, how can I contribute? How can I do more apart from making donations every month? I can physically go there, I can volunteer, but, how about I actually use my storytelling skills to actually amplify the work that he's doing and make it available to people worldwide?
And in that way, I mean, I'm beaming with pride because I know the struggle that you were experiencing that time, jumping off the abyss of a career that had meant so much to you as a hard-nosed news journalist, to take a punt on writing a book, something that I think every journalist thinks they have in them. But you have now written and published a book. You're an author, Kirsty Nancarrow. Som Tamang has helped to change your life.
Absolutely. I was in a very bad place mentally when I went to the village for the first time, and in a way it really helped me find my purpose again. It really helped save me, because I realised there was another way for me, and I loved my ABC career. I loved being a journalist, but I have now found a new way of telling stories and sharing stories that really fills my cup. So it did really start a new chapter for me, and we don't do it. No one writes books to make money. They do it because they feel like they're driven to share this, whatever the story is, with the world. So I've had so many signs from the universe that this was what I should do, and even the setbacks along the way. I mean, it was 7 years from deciding I wanted to do this to it actually being out earlier this year, but it was so worth it. And a learning process as well. So I have absolutely no regrets about taking this new path as an author.
So, Kirsty Nancarrow, what's the next chapter? Do you have another book in the pipeline? Could you find another story like Som?
Well, I've already had many people approach me asking me to write theirs, and I'm very humbled and honoured about that. But I do run a business now as well, which it pays the bills so I can do the voluntary work that I do and the talks that I do. So I'm committed to my new career for the time being. But I'm sure when I eventually retire that I won't be able to help myself, and I'll be writing at least my story, if not other people's stories as well. So, but there's still a few book talks to go before the end of the year, and I'm really happy to be out and about this weekend sharing those talks in libraries on the Cassowary Coast. Fantastic.
If you have been listening to Kirsty Nancarrow, hearing the passion, think you know the story of Som Tamang already? There's more. You can get up close and personal with Kirsty at the Cassowary Coast Library talks this weekend, and you can also buy the book and help continue the legacy that Som has started in his home village of Batasi. You can do that by popping along to the German Club Christmas markets, which you ought to do anyway, and the Mission Beach markets on Sunday. Kirsty, thanks so much.
Thank you, Charlie.
So proud to hear about the transition from journalist to author. Maybe there is hope for all of us. Life beyond the ABC. Imagine that.